What's up, world? You've just locked into the livest, most unfiltered, straight no chaser podcast on the airwaves. The Bro Code Podcast with Terry Torres Lester, with producer Kennedy Lucas. This ain't your average talk show. This is where the real ones pull up, speak their truth, and keep it 100% about everything that matters in the culture. We're talking about it all raw, uncut, and with zero apologies. This is where culture meets conversation, and legends are made on the mic. The Bro Code Podcast. Tune in on all major audio platforms you get your podcast from.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I do say this, Kennedy, because I'm mimicking you on this show. Welcome, everyone, to a new era in podcasting, presented and powered by K.L.P. Entertainment. This episode is very, very special. This is the Bro Code Podcast. I'm your humble, gracious, highly favored. I'm tearing a lot of your book there, Kennedy. Your podcast show host, Terry Torres Lester. It's been a very, very long time coming within my own special podcast show. Now, Kennedy said it on his show that he is celebrating 10 years of podcasting. And obviously, we both started in podcasting with an old show of Kennedy's called the Lucas Chat Podcast way back in 2015. Very, very happy to have been a part of that project and to really form the accolades of podcasting. But after 10 years of podcasting, I finally will be dabbling solo dolo in my own podcast show for Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6. You guys know what it is. Check it out. Now, thank you guys for when we post on social media, everybody was very, very excited to hear that finally I get my own show. And finally, we're expanding the K.L.P. Entertainment family when it comes down to our shows. And if Kennedy didn't say it, I'll break it down too, because if you guys don't know, me and Kennedy, we go way back. We're business partners, we're best friends. We worked together for years and years and years, and now I became what you call the CFO of K.L.P. Entertainment. And to really plan out a lot of things, what we're going to be doing with the K.L.P. Entertainment in terms of our radio shows and podcasting, we're trying to narrow shows down to about 3 good shows. So we're trying to give our audience and our fan base a new episode weekly. Typically Mondays, it will be Kennedy's Time with K.L.P. Aftermath. And then between Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those 2 days, today we're uploading on a Thursday because we're pushing everything. The schedule kind of got rearranged this week. But typically Tuesday and Wednesday, we want to give you guys the Bro Code Podcast episode. And then at the end of the week, we want to give you guys What Happened Was podcast with Kennedy and Evelyn. So we're trying to narrow it down and give you guys a full schedule of our shows. So as we grow here in K.L.P. Entertainment and as we continue on the year of 2025 and then beyond, we want to give you guys some good quality shows that you guys genuinely enjoy, you guys love listening to, and I'm very, very happy about it. I'm very stoic. I'm very, very blessed to be a part of this K.L.P. Entertainment family and to finally get my shot. Finally being able to get my shot in this thing and to really perform really well in terms of podcasting for you guys. So, like I say, I thank you guys so very, very much in advance. Thank y'all for the support that you guys been giving us entirely, but on behalf of our cast and crew. And I'm looking at Kennedy. It's like a reverse. This is like a reverse thing now because I produce his show, K.L.P. Aftermath, and he's actually here in the studio listening in and producing the Bro Code Podcast. So, very, very excited. Maybe we'll have him on the show eventually, but Kennedy said, hey, this is your show. It's your moment. It's your shine. It's time for me to be quiet. So very, very excited for that. We do hope that you guys like this new era. We're going through a lot of great things, y'all. A lot of great things, a lot of great moments. Kennedy, I seen it. I took a look at the latest episode for us. What happened was you and Evelyn, you guys did really, really amazing. We had a lot of people chime in. A lot of people tune in to that episode. That episode was very, very funny. I like the soda conversation that you two had down to the end of the podcast where you guys talked about relationships again and the different camera angles. And, the roadcaster was in the studio, so we had different cameras in there. And just to kind of give more of a dynamic look of the show, that's very promising. So we hope that everyone go check that show out. Again, it's What Happened Was podcasts available on all major audio platforms you get your podcast from. You guys don't want to miss it. Real quick about the Bro Code podcasts, because a lot of people did ask, is it misogyny type when it comes down to the show? Ladies and gentlemen, it is not a misogynist type podcast. I know the name's called Bro Code, but it's a cool name. But we feel for our bros and we feel for our women too, right? But primarily this show, though. Since we're on the first episode, I got to explain, Kennedy, the episode of the Bro Code podcast. But this show, this audio version show, we talk about technology, we talk about innovation, we talk about sports, and things the fellas go through on everyday life. That's the Bro Code podcast. Now, I know what people are thinking right now. I know a lot of people think that this show may not be for them. We look at our analytics. We have both men and women and non-binary audiences as well. So we're very gender neutral first and foremost. And it doesn't matter if you like this show or not. If this show is not for you, which we hope it will be for everyone, there are multiple shows on our network. Again, you got What Happened Was with Evelyn and Kennedy. You got K.L.P. Aftermath on the network. And you'll have Prime Time every once in a while, too. So there's multiple shows that you guys can take a listen to. So I do encourage people to hear us out. Enjoy the show, really, but hear us out. And if this is just for some reason not for you, we apologize, but we're going to continue this train because we're growing. So we hope that everyone enjoyed the season one, and hopefully I'll get many more seasons with Bro Code Podcast. Very, very excited, live from Atlanta. Very, very stoic, and I'm very, very excited to talk about more things to come. Now, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So I know that we might be a little late in this game of talking about this because when this episode of the podcast comes out, it will be Thursday. Yeah, I get it, guys. And this thing was on Monday. So we're a couple days late into this talk about, but typically, if Kennedy doesn't get to it on his show, then I get to it on the Bro Code podcast. And we are kind of a sportsy type show as well. So we've got to talk about it for sure. Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Obviously, me and Kennedy both watched the show in our homes, on Netflix. And, we watch it and we write about it. And then typically Kennedy talks about it. But now that I have my own show as well, we're going to talk about it here on the Bro Code podcast. For all of you wrestling fans out there, Kennedy said it best, and I'll say it too. We are officially in WrestleMania season. WrestleMania will be coming up next month. A lot of excitement. We don't know who's going to be on what card quite just yet when it comes down to it. It's still early to tell who's going to be facing who. Maybe with the exception of you, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Cena. Like that's something we're given. Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, that's something that's given. We already know about that. But they haven't solidified the full card of both nights of WrestleMania as of yet, right? So it's a good time to be a WWE fan because this is not a sponsor, but if they want to sponsor us on the Bro Code podcast, by all means. The latest video game is out. WWE 2K25 is out. Ken, I know you said your little brother bought it, and they're playing it. They're having a ball. I can't wait to delve on more into it later on. So it's a good time to be a WWE fan, right? Because the new wrestling game is out. WrestleMania is around the corner. We've got some surprises and some other things that's coming up when it comes down to having it being a good card. Now, the Raw results from March 10th, 2025, so that was this past Monday. They were in beautiful, and I do mean this, beautiful New York City when it comes down to it at the Garden, the Madison Square Garden Arena, the world's most famous arena. I remember when we were in New York, we were filming for your documentary, Kennedy, walking by the Madison Square Garden. It's bigger in person, On TV, it does not do it justice when it's on TV. When you physically see it, and I'm just going to say this real quick. Going to New York is very, very extraordinary. I encourage everyone in their lifetime, if you have not been to New York City, that is a wonder for you to see. It is bigger in person. Again, like I said, TV does not make it look justice. Like, it is huge when you're physically there. And for us to be there 3 times in a row, that's quite amazing. Couldn't go this year, of course, because we were filming other stuff, but we'll be back very soon. Now, let's get to it. WWE Monday Night Raw this past Monday at the Garden. Of course, you've had Jey Uso versus Grayson Waller. I do like the idea, Kennedy, that a lot of Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they're having more TV time. They're having more spotlight time. We're rooting for Austin Theory because obviously he is from Atlanta. Any superstar in WWE that is from Atlanta, we like to rep them. Regardless, doesn't matter if they suck or if they're good. If they're from Atlanta, we like to rock with them. That's what we like to do. But Jey Uso, is good to see Jey Uso having his moment. Main event, Jey Uso will be facing Gunther at WrestleMania. Very, very exciting times, of course. Gunther does kind of a sneak attack on Jey Uso over Jey's win over Grayson Waller. It's just solidifying. I think they're playing the underdog story, right? Gunther is the champion. He's the bully, quote unquote. He's the heel. Jey Uso is the face. He's the hero. Every kid wants to kind of do the ye, It's kind of like the underdog story. If you guys remember, can't remember what year it was. It had to been like 2000. I want to say 2012 or 13. One of those years, WrestleMania 30, right? You had Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the underdog, and his opponents were the heel, right? So they're playing into that story again. Jey Uso has this opportunity to win the belt. I think he has a good shot because there's a lot of bullying, quote unquote, between these two rivals and between these two superstars. I hope they come out on top. And then, of course, Logan Paul comes out. Again, I agree with Kennedy. I'm also not a Logan Paul fan. I tried. I put it to you this way, guys. I'm a Logan Paul fan when it comes down to him making money. Him coming down to be in social media. He's doing his social media really well, and he's really playing into the social media game to make money. That part I understand. As a competitor, as a wrestler, as a superstar, I'm not a big fan. We probably will see AJ Styles and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Good to see AJ Styles is coming back. We did see a tweet from AJ Styles' Twitter. He says that he's going to retire at the age of 50. So that's about 2 to 3 years left. AJ Styles, he's been in TNA. He's been WWE. He's been wrestling in Japan. He's been doing the independents. AJ Styles has been doing this thing for years now, right? I remember when we were kids, obviously, Kenny, when AJ Styles had the little buzz cut on his head. He didn't have the long hair back in the day, right? So it is quite amazing. It's phenomenal, pun intended. It's phenomenal to see AJ Styles that's getting more reps. He's in good shape, too. So we're probably going to see that, of course. AJ Styles comes into the aid of Andrew Schultz. Not sure who he is. He's a comedian. WWE really is doing their thing when it comes down to celebrities that have a special on Netflix or have a show on Netflix. They make sure that they are repping comedians that have specials on Netflix and shows on Netflix to get their camera time. Obviously, you saw next to Andrew Schultz. It was a guy in a suit, right? He was a Netflix executive, right? And their kind of headquarters, they have some offices in New York with Netflix. Of course, they've got the big studio from Netflix that they're building in Jersey. Can't wait to see what that looks like. So it's a whole business perspective when it comes down to it. The New Day. Look, I'm rocking their new theme. Their new theme music is quite catchy. It's quite catchy. I listen to it in the gym too, Kennedy. It's quite catchy. It grows on you. It's a bop. But the New Day defeats Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio in a tornado tag match. I would not be surprised if we didn't see them again at WrestleMania, or we might see either Penta or Rey Mysterio, one of them two going against Chad Gable. Obviously, yes, that was Gable in the American-made luchador mask, because Chad Gable's been on this tour of trying to find out how to beat luchadors in this wrestling game. So, of course, obviously, there is a spin angle for that as well. Not a fan of the New Day story, but hey, it's a bop. Their music is a bop. Cody Rhodes calls out John Cena. Very, very good to see Cody Rhodes, again, another superstar we're repping because he is from Atlanta as well. I'm curious to see what this will look like. Cody Rhodes and John Cena. I'm curious to see what John Cena's new theme music will be, what his new attire will look like, his new attitude, right? I'm very excited to see what happens next to John Cena now that he's a heel. Like, what's going to be the angle there? What will he look like at WrestleMania? So we can't wait for that. And then we have Raquel Rodriguez defeated Bayley for the women's Intercontinental title #1 contenders match. Again, some of these matches, and this is what I meant to point out. New York is some courageous fans, but this episode was a bit quiet as well. Don't know what it is. Don't know if it was just the type of matchup. But what makes a good wrestling show if the crowd is very engaging? And I picked up, Kennedy, I don't know if you picked up, but what I picked up was the engagement of this didn't pan out the way we thought it would, right? So with the crowd not really being so much engaging, right, there's a difference. There's a difference in crowd engagement. So obviously, for an example, Atlanta. I wasn't there personally, but Kennedy, you went with you and your fam, and you sent us some video. The crowd was very engaging when they came to Atlanta. New York, a little different. It's a little quiet. And that's what makes a great show. But continuing on, of course, Io Sky she has her exclusive interview with Michael Cole, and then Bianca Belair comes out looking fine as ever, right? Bianca, let me tell you, Bianca got something, right? It's one of those things that is very, very interesting to see. I still can't wait, and I agree with you, Kenny. I can't wait to see what this angle looks like when it comes down to Bianca, Naomi, and Jade, right? But looking as good as ever, as fit as ever. I bet she smelled good, too. Not trying to get weird on the show, but I bet she smelled awesome. Then Rhea Ripley comes out. They do a whole little segment as Bianca and Rhea going at it, and then Io slaps both of them. That slap was pretty funny. And Io Sky's like, hey, it's about me. It ain't about you. It's about me. And then the main event, it was Seth Rollins and CM Punk in the steel cage match. Very, very good to see these two go at it. I think CM Punk is one of the best in the world at this game. And they really gave us a good quality match. And I got to say that this match was the highlight of the entire night. It was more engaging. It wasn't as quiet as the other matches before the actual main event. So really, really exciting to see that happen at the Garden. They gave us their all. They beat each other up in the steel cage match. I'm glad that Seth Rollins, he's good too. But I'm glad that he got pushed out of the steel cage as a fluke win, right? He wasn't just he didn't straight up beat CM Punk. He didn't straight up decimated CM Punk, right? He was thrown out of the cage because of Roman Reigns. Now, it's good to see the DOTC, Roman Reigns back into the limelight of things, and very, very exciting. He's officially back, the official original tribal chief. He's attacking Seth Rollins. He goes back into the cage, beats up CM Punk, and then you have Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman attends to CM Punk, counseling him, and Roman was like, hey, what you doing? And then I watched. I was like, hey, wise man, Heyman, what you doing? What you doing, buddy? So something is brewing. Will we see CM Punk, Rollins, and Reigns in a triple threat match at WrestleMania? We might. We just might. Very, very exciting to see all of that happen. That was the highlight of Raw. Quite quiet, in New York at the Garden. I don't think they might have hit the stride that they thought they were going to hit the stride with, but I don't know. It could have been something that it could have been better, honestly. But, it is what it is. Triple H said it the best. You win some, you win some and you lose some. It's one of those things where it is up to you. It is up to what you think is going to happen that night. It is up to the audience. Again, I always say the audience does make the case. The audiences do make their night and make their fortune, right? And if the audience is not able to really react and have a great time, then it may not make as a good show, personally. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully more to come on that as well. Now, next, before we get to another topic of conversation, Kennedy, I got to pick on you for a minute. Just a minute. So, I saw your Instagram. You working out, looking swole, doing your thing. I get it. But you said something that I kind of get. I understand it. I get it. And this is about, relationships and fitness. So I wanted to add my own little 2 cents, if I may. I understand the soft guy era. For all of you guys who don't know what soft guy era is, let me pull it up too, so that way I know what I'm talking about. Good to have computers here in the studio. So the soft guy era refers to a shift online culture. It exemplifies by Instagram account. We're not going to get that. Where some online users mock or critique men who openly express emotion, prioritize sensitivity, and perceive as rejecting toxic masculinity tropes. Now, I wanted to dabble a little bit more into this. And then there's a phrase here called drizzle drizzle. The phrase drizzle drizzle is a running joke in the soft boy era, which is responsible to the term sprinkle sprinkle invented by YouTuber who teaches women how to be entitled in relationships. Some soft boys, quote unquote, are known to use their perceived lack of traditional masculine traits as an attempt to express girls and use indie music and fake philosophies to make themselves seem appealing. According to the soft guy era movement, women need to be willing to bring more to the table, and if they make more money than a man, they should be willing to put their hands in their pockets or purses, as in some cases, give up those ends and dividends and actually be a helpmate. Now, I hope I don't ruffle some feathers on our first episode of the Bro Code podcast. But being that this is called the Bro Code podcast, it's very fitting that I talk about it, Kennedy, on the show. I think you're not wrong. I think a lot of people, you should be available to use the soft guy era movement, right? There's nothing wrong with having a moment to where you express your sensitivity and your emotions. And Kenny, I hopefully I'm not picking on you too much, but we talk, right? It's okay. It's okay to be sensitive as a man. It's okay to be emotional as a man. I also do agree that this has to be the year that a lot of dudes, and I'm just talking to my fellas right now. Again, we're gender neutral. We're definitely gender neutral, but I gotta, from a guy's point of view, I can only tell on a guy's point of view. It's okay. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be sensitive. I think this is going to be the year that a lot of dudes are realizing that they're knowing their worth. They're realizing that it's a trap. They're realizing that it doesn't make sense to where we have to front up a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not just talking money and financials, but emotionally support 100%, where your mate doesn't support a whole lot. and then they're ending up mentally abused, physically abused. Yes, men can be physically abused, by the way. It doesn't make them weak as well. Men can be verbally and physically abused. Some women don't understand that, but that's true. Men can be abused as well. And we're taking our power back this year. And it's not just you, Kennedy, that I've seen on your gram. There's a lot of dudes, a lot of our friend guys, a lot of guys that are our friends that are expressing the same way. They're expressing the same feeling that you're feeling, that your peace and serenity matters. Right? And I'll tell you guys a story. And this was a story that, I can tell because I'm no longer with that person. But before the soft guy era movement began on social media, we as guys, as bros, when we grow up, our parents, specifically our dads, would tell us that, hey, don't be soft. Don't be sensitive. Oh, man up. You got to be a man. But a lot of that is changing this year. And when a lot of that stuff is changing this year, we are finding out, very slowly and surely, but we are finding out that we're in the golden prime, that our peace of serenity matters the most. We're unfiltered. We're not toxic in a toxic environment. We are unbothered. We're understanding that we can go out in peace. We can do things in peace. We can play video games in peace. I've seen it on social media that, dudes who play video games and they get called that, oh, they're still a little kid. Oh, you're immature. Oh, you're lame. Oh, you playing a video game. First of all, I'm just going to say I love video games. And it doesn't matter how old I will turn, because we're hitting me, Kennedy, I'm looking at, we approach in our 30s. There's no matter how old you are. There's some 50-year-olds who still play video games. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that you need to be ashamed of when you're doing stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it. Also, a lot of bros are understanding that they're saving. And look, even though this is the Bro Code Podcast, we're not saying that we hate women, right? I think a lot of that notion needs to stop too, that when we talk about these social experiments, we talk about real stuff that's going on between relationships, between a man and a woman, or they, them, us, right? They think that we're shaming women. They think that we're mad at women. And that's not the case. We love our women. But we got to call a spade sometimes. We've got to understand and call people out when it's true. And I know, Kenny, you said this on the previous episode too, the truth does hurt. When we talk about these things on social media, and then you see a lot of our lady counterparts, they have a lot to say. They get very emotional. They get very combative with us when it comes down to it, because they know that we are right. We're speaking some truth to this. Right? So I am also understanding the waves of the soft guy era movement, because we're able to impress just ourselves. Back in the day, we're taught that, hey, you're supposed to go to the gym, treat your body right, and you're supposed to be the chaser. But I disagree. I think it is also a good thing if the guy gets chased. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you sorry. It doesn't make you less of a man. Hey, I would love to be chased for once. Treat me. Right? So that way I know you have some good intentions when you're chasing me. Right? And in the soft guy era, and the definition is like, what do you bring to the table? That is also true. Because I've seen it to where there's some women out there in the world, they don't really bring that much to the table. Right? And I hate it. I see the videos, and we talk about it, Kennedy. I hate those videos when they say, hey, I bring me to the table. Oh, I'm pretty, so that's enough. No, being pretty is not enough. You've got to be able to bring emotions, bring in the competition. And what I mean by competition, y'all, I mean be able to combat or to not fight physically, but to have an intellectual conversation and articulate your thinking. If you're on the opposite side of your partner, challenge them, right? You've got to be able to knowing how, and Kenny, you said this before too, and I repeat, you got to know how to understand your value, understand your responsibilities as an adult. Me and Kenny, guys, we always say this. If a girl knows how to pay a bill, then that might be a good contender. But you'd be surprised that a lot of folks in this generation don't know how to pay the bill, don't know how much your bill is, and didn't know about the bill, right? And they don't understand the roles of being an adult. And then you have it to where some ladies out there, they will say, hey, I don't need a man. I pay my own bills. I pay my own car note, pay my own phone bill. Well, congratulations, because that's just part of being an adult. In my eyes, I don't see it as, oh, I'm an independent woman. Good, but that's what an adult does. Every adult pays bills. Every adult pays their car note in their phone bill and their rent money and getting paid from the job and paying their taxes. That's just being an adult in America, in my opinion, right? Then when we go to the gym, now we're about to get to the gym conversation now. The gym, and by your post, Kennedy, and I read your whole post. Your post was awesome. Going to the gym, that's our safe haven, where we could work out, be ourselves, work out if we're working a typical 9 to 5, or we're in the office during the day, right? We've had a long production day, long film day, and stressed out about a project and stuff, but the gym is our safe haven. The gym is where we go to have a great time and to lift weights and to really let our minds reset. And Kennedy, I go to the gym too. I agree with you. It's our therapy, right? There's quite a few things that I go, and me and Kennedy we don't do it together, but we do it. We both do this. The gym is our therapy, and church is our therapy. Speaking of God is our therapy, along with going to church, going to the gym, right? So I'm not mad at your post, Kennedy. A couple weeks back when you post your gym videos and you went viral too, about women and their attire, which we don't judge, but we can't help but stare and look to say, hey, you got some hoochies on. All we see is coochie, right? It's there. We're not hating on you. We're not judging you, but you can't get mad when the dudes be staring at you because that's your choice and outfit. And then they do the whole lift pose, isn't look at my ass. We ain't going to get into that. But, ladies, y'all know what y'all doing at the gym. So, that's part of the soft guy era is the gym. Yeah, I've seen it all over TikTok, all over Facebook. A lot of dudes are going to the gym, right? Their peace, their serenity, their power, their emotions, their sensitivity, they leave it all on the line at the gym. They come home after a long, hard day. They cook dinner, right? They read a book. They watch anime, because we've been watching that new Dragon Ball Daima, right? We play video games. We have a great time without our ladies because it's our peace and our serenity. You ever just see those videos? And I see those videos, some of them more skits and some of them more real, that dudes rely heavy on their video game because that's their safe haven. That's their place to escape the realities of their lives for an hour or two and to really keep them at calm and peace. I say, every time I play a video game, it's not me just going to have a good time and having fun, but it's also a good way to help me relax. Relax a minute. Don't think about work. Don't think about podcasting. Don't think about the articles we got to write. Don't think about relationships. Don't think about anything. But just relax. Turn your mind off. Best feeling ever, right? So I'll end with this. There's nothing wrong with us being in a soft guy era. I think there's a lot of people A lot of dudes this year alone are understanding this culture, and they're dabbling heavy in this soft guy era. It doesn't make you weak. A lot of, and your post editor too, get it. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people are not supposed to understand it. A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people are not supposed to get it. Right? But it is real. And people, dudes, are really understanding it. And it's the same thing with the soft girl era too. There is a soft girl era, right? But we're just in that third relationship, that generation. This is, and we said it best, is our generation, man. It is our generation this time around that's screwing us up. Where a lot of people reaching their 30s and they don't have kids, and they're happy to not have kids. They not married, and they're not happy, and they're happy to not be married. Right? Because it's their peace and their serenity and their power that they give. So I end with that. There's nothing wrong with the soft guy era. We're probably going to have some people comment and say, no, you're wrong, Terry. You're wrong on the show. Oh, you lied. You ain't nothing. But no, it is true. It is happening. And we got to do better. Okay, so for our last minute news here on the Bro Code podcast, I found this one to be funny, Kennedy. Now, it's about 50 Cent and Rick Ross. So 50 Cent continues trolling Rick Ross for seemingly opening up for Bow Wow on the Millennium Tour. The Millennium Tour is the tour that's been going around to a lot of people around the world. I think a lot of people are just kind of skipping this tour because, you know, they're looking for, and I'm not saying these acts are not good. It's just, they're just not in season, right? And what's funny about it, though, 50 haven't been litting up on Rick Ross. Admit their long-standing feud, which has heated up in, of course, recent months. Now, if you take to Instagram earlier within the week, of course, he was roasting Rick Ross for opening up Bow Wow on Millennium Tour. And this is what 50 wrote on Instagram. This says, N-word, on this show too, on Bro Code Podcast, we won't say the derogatory mean names. But N-word gets quiet when they got to open for Bow Wow. He wrote, and of course he continues, and this is what he said, y'all. He not a surprise guest. He can't sell a ticket, LOL. Of course, Ross is billed as a special guest on the show with Plies, Bootsy Badass, and Ying Yang Twins serving as supporting acts. Again, these acts, I don't want to say that they're not good, right? Because Plies was pretty good back in the day. Bootsy Badass is still doing that. Ying Yang Twins, I guess. They're a little bit older, but I guess. It's good to see that in the Millennium Tour, I guess, to see. But I personally wouldn't go see them in particular if there's somebody else that we have to go see. Now, on Wednesday afternoon, he shared a screenshot of a complex article reporting on his antics. And the captions, he continued after Ross, and he says, so nobody noticed that this fool is opening for Bow Wow 30K a show, 50 wrote on Instagram. This is what he continues to say. Trying to sell wings and car show tickets. Okay, then I didn't notice either, fans have shared. Here's my thoughts on that first. I kind of get 50's point. I know, because I'm a huge Rick Ross fan too, y'all. And I know a lot of people are going to ask me, Terry, why you on 50 side? I am. Because Rick Ross is a powerful, powerful artist. He's very, very influential. And if you got to open for Bow Wow, now let me just tell you, there's no shame on Bow Wow, right? He was a great act when he was coming out. Now he turned actor. Some of the movies and shows he did all right. But Bow Wow looked different. Bow Wow been eaten, right? Health is wealth, but Bow Wow has been eaten. He looks a little different, and maybe things have dried up for Bow Wow, right? Because he's no longer, I guess he's trying to get back into the music thing because the acting kind of dried up, right? I remember when Bow Wow, and he was a kid actor, actually. It all started when he was a kid. But as he got older, he's been getting just a little bit more roles, right? Working with Tyler Perry and working all these other different angles and other different movies. But then it kind of dried up. I remember seeing him on an episode on Facebook, that show Balloon Pop, Track and Pop. I don't know what it's really called, but like the ladies would line up and then they would just pop the balloon if they're asking questions that he didn't like. But they did a celebrity version where the ladies would come out one by one to talk about these celebrities, and then they could say yay or nay or pass, right? So I've seen Bow Wow do something like that. And now you guess that he's trying to be back into the music game, right? So this is why I say I get 50's point, because the reason of Rick Ross, again, very powerful rapper here in Atlanta, but it is crazy that he's opening for Bow Wow, right? If Rick Ross was opening for Kendrick or Drake or even Usher, Chris Brown maybe, I can see that, right? I can see that. Those are big, big stars. Bow Wow, although he's a celebrity, he's not bigger than some of these big rappers out here right now. He's not even in the top 10, right? So I get 50's point. Now, 50 Cent's feud with Rick Ross was heated up in recent weeks after the rapper linked up with Big Meech and Little Meech to put on a welcome home concert, to which they canceled it, by the way, while they then ended up not happening to go along as planned. Of course, I got 50 still took issue on their alliances. He quickly labeled Big Meech a rat on Instagram and eventually began dunking on Little Meech as well, despite him starring in 50's BMF series for Stars. This is very sad because, Lil Meech, we all know Lil Meech, big show, BMF, big show. And it's 50, right? 50, if you guys don't know by now, you should. Of course, Raising Kanan, new season out right now. Power, right? Power Book 2, Ghost, right? Good shows. Now, this is what 50 says too. He says, F Ross, but he gave my dad some bread so he can afford to pay his bills until our next season starts. This internet S-word, internet shit, is throwing me off, man. You know me in real life. A Little Meech text 50 at one point. Again, hey, Little Meech starting the big show, made some money. There was an article, Kelly, about, or something went down on media. I think you guys can remember that, Little Meech made approximately $5 million from the show. And all of it was blown. Like they blew the full $5 million. And that's the thing I want to ask to the audience too. If you've made that much money, $5 million from a good show, right? And you probably still get those residuals too. How do you blow $5 million? Now, I know that's a trick question to ask to our audiences because it's easy, right? If you got $5 million that you just want to blow it, you want to buy a house, you want to buy exotic cars and exotic watches and clothes, and that's how you can blow a good $5 million. Would I blow $5 million personally? No. All of it will be in savings. I might donate $1 million to a business for that way we can make more money out of that $5 million. You can turn $5 million into $10 million and $10 million into $25 million, right? If you invest it wisely. So I get it. I understand the internet's wave difference between making that much money and blowing it because, you can't. The Welcome Home concert was canceled and, Rick Ross and them wanted to make a movie of Big Meech, but that's hard because 50 owns the rights to Big Meech and Little Meech storyline, right? Ownership, right? You got to understand the ownership for sure. At the top of the beef, 50 also been frequently weighing in on Cameron's feud with his Debset partner Jim Jones, which was very controversial with Cam on Talk with Flea show in which they discussed Jim Jones, and they led to their latest disagreement in the first place. It's scary, man. It is a scary dynamic where there's a lot of beefs going on with 50 trolling Ross about opening for Bow Wow. I get it. Rick Ross is a big star. He really shouldn't be doing that, but hey, he's doing it. And who knows, maybe Ross is doing this for fun. Now, if Ross said he came out and he's doing it just for fun, yes, I understand, a lot of artists, when they make a lot of money, they have too much money, they start messing around and just having fun with stuff. Just doing just weird stuff, just because of the fun of it, the sport of it all, right? But I completely understand the look on that for 50 and Ross. Hopefully it gets better for them. I really do. So that will complete this episode here, the Bro Code Podcast, first episode. We hope that you guys enjoy this episode as much as we did. Please go check out What Happened Was Podcast. Kennedy and Evelyn, they doing their thing on that show. If you missed out, you don't want to miss it. It's a great episode. And there's going to be plenty more of the Bro Code Podcast. More episodes. We're trying to get it to about 50 minutes each episode as well. So we thank you guys in advance to our listeners and like I say, listeners. This is an audio-only version of the podcast. So we thank you guys so very much. We'll catch you guys next weekend for more podcasting from all three of the shows here at K.L.P. Entertainment. Kennedy, thank you for letting my voice be heard after 10 years. No, I'm joking, but finally we got it and we're ready for it. Until then, this has been Bro Code Podcast. I've been your podcast host, Terry Towers Lester. See y'all in the next episode. Peace.
What's up, world? You've just locked into the livest, most unfiltered, straight no chaser podcast on the airwaves. The Bro Code Podcast with Terry Torres Lester, with producer Kennedy Lucas. This ain't your average talk show. This is where the real ones pull up, speak their truth, and keep it 100% about everything that matters in the culture. We're talking about it all raw, uncut, and with zero apologies. This is where culture meets conversation, and legends are made on the mic. The Bro Code Podcast. Tune in on all major audio platforms you get your podcast from.